noho, Maori tū. Maori ora, kia tātou, haumie, huie, taikie. A little bit of housekeeping to start with. We have 3 fabulous speakers today who will speak for 7 or 8 minutes each. Diane, unfortunately, is very unwell and can't be here. She apologizes. I will be keeping us on schedule as needed, so we have time for your questions at the end. We absolutely love punchy, succinct questions, so do think up some good ones as we go through. Now, Bike Auckland have organised the webinar today. Some of you may not know who Bike Auckland is, but at Bike Auckland, we are working together for a better city for people on bikes. But more than that, we believe that more people on bikes makes for a better city. Call it a virtuous cycle. We lead the push for positive change from the top down, right from the planning stages. People on bikes should be part of the picture from the get-go. So let's talk about sustainable events. We have some great stories for you today to share about others in the industry who are making great strides towards sustainability. We all know we need more circular systems, but event budgets are stretched. There are questions over who's responsible, who's accountable, and solutions can often be seen as a nice to have. We believe there are ways we can do this together, and we want to find them. So let's kōrero about some of the challenges and opportunities for making progress. The first of our amazing speakers today is Isabel Emerson. Isabel is Climate Change and Sustainability Advisor at Tātaki Auckland Unlimited. Now, Isabel manages and delivers various climate and sustainability projects aligning to Te Tāruke-ā-Tāwhiri, Auckland's climate plan. Working at Tāmaki Makaurau's Economic and Cultural Agency, she provides climate change and sustainability matter expertise to kaimahi, including events like the Lantern Festival, Pasifika, Diwali, and the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023. Prior to this, she managed the 2021 Sustainable Business Awards. She also shapes environmental practices from a strategic level, playing a role in both the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, New Zealand's steering group, and the NZEA Sustainable Events Working Group, which was formed to drive positive change in the events industry. Over to you, Isabel.
Kia ora, and thank you for that introduction. I'll just share my screen with you all now. 1 second. Cool. Can everyone see that? Perfect. Kia ora, ko Isabel Emerson toku ingoa, and again, thank you for allowing this kōrero this morning. So thank you to Bike Auckland and the others on the line. A really important topic, lots to discuss, and lots of, I guess, areas for innovation and change in the industry. So just a bit about Tātaki Auckland Unlimited for those of you who don't know who we are. As Sue said, we're the cultural and economic agency for Tāmaki Makaurau. We're part of council, but we're also all these fabulous organisations you see on the screen. So you've probably seen the zoo, art gallery, Pasifika, many events we dabble in, and we have an insight into what's going on in that space. So it's really great. We can kind of see what's going on, also try and make the positive change that we need in this industry. So kia ora, and thank you for having us. So just, I guess, why are we on this call today? So climate change is happening across the world. It's happening in Aotearoa, and also, I guess, for those in Tāmaki Makaurau last year, it affected us pretty badly with the flooding. As an organisation, as a city and a country, we were super impacted by the flooding and Cyclone Gabriel. Our event industry was, all the events that were scheduled had to be postponed and cancelled. So from Auckland Lantern Festival that we were running, spent the whole year planning for, was just a week or so after the floods. And then Elton John, which happened on the night of the flooding, was at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. So we are super aware that we need to know what's going on. We need to be adaptive. We need to adapt. We also need to be resilient to the impacts of climate change. But also, I guess, as an industry, we also need to understand what events are causing to the environment. So something we all look at and want to understand a bit more is the environmental footprint of our events. I really like this graphic here. It shows, I guess, a real visual of our footprint of an event. This isn't a British-based company, but I still think that the data is pretty relevant. And actually, we often talk about things like waste and serving and our stall holders, but actually you can see here travel and transport, accommodation is pretty high, and these are things that often get, glazed over. So I'm really thankful that Bike Auckland really put this webinar on today so we can talk about important topics like travel and transport. Also acknowledging, I guess, the event industry. We've had a tough time over the last couple of years with COVID and with extreme weather. So it's exciting that we're having these discussions. So talking about those topics on the last slide, I pulled through some of the ones that we're focusing on at Tātaki Auckland Unlimited. So things like energy use. Hey, how's the energy powered? Do you need all those generators there? Also the procurement is something we want to look at more so. We have certain targets and goals in place to make sure we've got local and sustainable suppliers. Water management, how's the water coming to and from our events? And then comms and marketing is a really big one. How are we telling our attendees, our stall holders, stakeholders and partners what we're doing and what we should be doing better? Also, I just wanted to touch on two topics. I could go on all day, but there's two important topics that I'll go into the next couple of slides. I think they're really relevant, topical, and then I guess would love to have a discussion afterwards with those on the line. So I'll start with transport. I think everyone has something to say about transport, whether it's good, whether it's bad, but transport, is a big source of emissions. It's a big source of worry for lots of people. And also in Tāmaki Makaurau, it's the largest source of emissions within the city. And events have a huge part to play in that. Although we're not the transport agency, we need people to get to and from our events. And we want them to get there safely. We want them to get there on time. And we also want them to be able to have the choice of how you get to and from our events. So as an organization, we understand that we need to know what people are doing. So we're starting to record how people are traveling from A to B. And so quite shocking stats are coming through of how people are getting to our city centre events. But as an organisation, we need to put incentives in to try and reduce that. So we're working across the organisation and with stall holders to try and put incentives in place. So when there is free public transport to certain games, making sure the communication has come out. So for example, with Auckland Transport, hey, we need to make sure everyone knows that they can get on transport for free. Also, other organisations like EcoFest, Eco Matters and EcoFest, they actually have a little section on their website that says whether you can get there via public transport. These kind of incentives are quite small but really meaningful ways of communicating. There's things like urban parklet, which is an innovative idea. I don't know if it's come into play, but we're partnering with Big Street Bikers and Locky Docks. They were looking at clunking down this urban parklet that has a solar panel, can capture rainwater, and it's just a really cool idea of getting people excited about what we can do in this space, as well as other initiatives like, hey, at Lantern Festival, we had a bike activation. So getting people excited about cycling, talking to Auckland Transport, colouring in pictures of bicycles, so different ways of I guess, engaging with those who come to our events. They might not all be cyclists, but they might just want to talk about it and maybe change the way they actually travel. And one other thing that is happening in some of our events as well, working with our partners like Auckland Transport to run guided rides. And they were really successful in some of our major events. So people got on their bike from, down the road, and then they cycled all the way to the festival and then went around the festival for an hour and cycled back. So they had a guided person with them. So those who weren't confident had a different way of traveling to the festival rather than getting in the car. So super exciting, lots to say about this, but I'll move on to the next slide. So climate resilience, I guess it's kind of a new topic that's being talked about in the event industry. And I guess it's a way of us knowing what's coming up. So we need to know, we need to adapt, and we need to be resilient to the changing climate. So whether that's going to be the extreme temperatures that are coming through, whether the flooding, extreme wind, we need to have practices in place to be able to adapt to these new extremes. So I know last summer we actually had quite a few hot days. Some of our events, we did have a high proportion of people seeking shade, seeking advice to actually try and cool them down. And so as an organisation, we need to put those measures in prior. Maybe we need to have things like more shade, misting stations. We need to maybe have something as a national framework of certain temperatures. We need to get, when it gets to a certain temperature, we should actually be calling off the event. But when do we do that? So these are all things we're having the conversations internally as well as externally with the NZEA, for example. Yeah, events are at the forefront of these climate events. So I guess, how do we work together as an organisation to front foot them? And there's cool innovation that's happening. Just my final slide as well, conscious I don't want to take up too much time, but there are really cool organisations out there doing amazing mahi, both in Aotearoa and internationally. But just pulling up Coldplay example, because they're coming to Tāmaki Makaurau in November. I've got a ticket, but they are doing some amazing in this space. They're measuring their emissions. They're also saying they're not perfect. They fly. Sometimes they do charter planes, but they are trying to reduce. They're trying to innovate. And by jumping on the ground, they're creating energy. They're doing really cool stuff. And also things like attendee travel. If you download the app and you say you're coming via public transport, you get a discount on merchandise or something like that. So incentives for people to travel different ways. So go and check them out, and others like Glastonbury that happened last week. That would be awesome. So I think that's everything from me, and I'm excited to hear the rest of the korero today.
Wow, fantastic, Isabel. Thank you so much for that. I think you've really highlighted how we're all affected by climate change, but events in particular are absolutely at the forefront of climate impact, and actually a major creator of climate impact as well. Wow, such shocking stats that you shared with us there. I'm sure we'll have some more questions about everything you shared with us at the end. So do save up those questions, write them down. Isabel can't wait to answer them. We'll move on to our next fabulous speaker now, Shaz Seaton from Clean Event. Shaz is a sustainability manager with a significant history of managing projects in the events and environmental services industry. She is passionate about reducing greenhouse gas emissions by diverting waste from landfill. In 2012, Shaz and George Seaton founded Clean Event to reduce event waste going to landfill. They had seen that the traditional waste industry was just not providing what event organisers needed. Over to you, Shaz.
Hi, kia ora, everyone. Nice to see you all today. Yes, I'm the sustainability manager for Clean Event, but yeah, it takes a team to get the results that we have been getting. Yeah, we really strive to get 80 to 90% diversion from landfill. There's many reasons we do this. Water quality is my main driver, because I've got an environmental science degree and chemistry degree. So how does waste affect the waterways? Well, there's all sorts of runoff and leachate that can get into the waterways, and so that impacts our fish and what we eat and all sorts of things that we don't want in our ecosystems. So that's my main driver for minimizing waste. I mean, there's global warming, but yeah, I really care about having clean water and being able to go swim and having clean food to eat. So basically, Grant is on this call as well, and we work together to from the pre-event, we work with the event holders and stall holders to try and reduce packaging waste. So that's looking at whether they're using compostables and recyclables. Some of the challenges there is offering reusable systems, solutions, so that you're actually reducing waste at the end of the cycle. But there's a lot of events are starting to kind of come to the options. For example, Mount Smarter using the giveaway cups. But yeah, so that's one of the challenges. But we're also looking at minimizing the waste stream, so really simplifying what's going in, what's coming out. So plastics 1, 2s, and 5s are really important. That they're the most recyclable that Vizzy takes. So yeah, with lots of changes in the recycling industry, we offer our support there with stall holders and event holders to really try and reduce and minimize the waste stream. Also, we look at site design and high volume traffic volumes, and where we need to place the systems in place. So we've got normally red for the landfill bins, and yellow for the recycling bins, and then green for the compostables. And really we try and put the 3 bins together. And if the budget, as we have zero waste advisors helping the public put each one of those, helping the public know which one it goes into. It seems really simple, but it can be really hard, especially for foreign visitors. Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion around where the rubbish goes. So we do have those types of waste advisors to help if budget allows. We've also got 3D signage. It's proven to be really useful and really impactful. So having examples on the bins and the bin lids really helps. It's really effective. If budget doesn't allow for waste advisors, it's a really good second option to help for them to see just a quick way of getting rubbish into the bins. So basically, yeah, we work with we work to try and minimize waste, minimizing single-use plastics, for example, and that can be in many ways of offering solutions such as marketing, how the event's going to market and get the public on board, and how is that going to happen through the life cycle of the event. We also work with a number of events with who are using Toi EnviroCare, looking at going carbon zero and getting carbon zero certification. And the relevance, I guess, for this is that with Bike Auckland is we really look at how our staff are getting to and from events. Are they carpooling? Are they using public transport? Are they biking in? We've got more and more staff biking in. So we work with Auckland Transport, and for example, Auckland Marathon is a big one on getting sort of a lot of people into one space. Big Day Out, Explore, yeah. So those are some of the examples that are that have been asking for feedback on those. During the event, we've got on-site zero waste advisors, as we were saying, advising the public on where things go. However, our staff are also able to help and where they high vis. uniforms to help during the event. We've also got on-site sorting, and that's really impactful because contamination is one of our really big problems and challenges. And if things get contaminated, then it's really hard to sort through and minimize the waste. So it's really good to do it at the bin systems, and then within the event itself. That really, all the little things that get sort of caught up are easier to sort of unfold it when it's on site. Also, we do take it off-site and have off-site sorting as well. So some of those examples for sorting on site and separating waste would be, for example, cardboard. Cardboard's really good to separate and keep separate. We've got then compostables, obviously, have been granted for some events. They have had grants for glass and separating glass, which is quite effective as well. Like, so color coding, separating glass into the different colors. So yeah, depending on what events are doing, some events can get grants for minimizing waste. The more sorting we can do, it reduces the mixing and contamination. Some of the examples of what works really well at events, example, it would be FIFA Women's World Cup. We had they had interactive installations such as the Coke installation, and really had the public on board, sort of making it fun. And it's just really neat to see like kids getting on board, and it's a really good educational tool. And so it's just not just about waste, but it's also like educating the public, and that follows through to the next generation. And then post-event, so actually for FIFA Women's World Cup, we also had NZEA soft plastic solutions, so we had them come on board. So it's the soft plastics forum. So we had a bin for those, and it was just really nice to have people come on board and sort of do as much as they could to help minimize the waste. During pack down, we've got it's not just the waste itself at events, but we have you're looking at production waste, and as Grant sort of was saying as well, is that that can be one of our challenges. Is it's the event organisers really need to look sort of beyond the front of house rubbish, and look at creating solutions for operations and production waste. It can be sometimes our biggest contributors. So you're looking at scrim, packaging, sponsor giveaways, signage, the building waste. So yeah, at the very beginning, it's really good to be able to, part of the organisation, look at solutions for those. How are we going to sort of, what are we doing with building materials? What is happening in production waste? How can we look at upcycling or reusable solutions there? For FIFA Women's World Cup, they used cork flute signage, which was recyclable. But then there's also the option of being able to reuse those the cork flute. So we also had building materials such as like pallets that can be reused or upcycled. And what we've found is really effective is having our staff take photographs, and I also go in myself and take photographs of what's happening during an event. We try and be agile, we try and change things as we see it happening. What we may have more of this type of waste stream happening that we didn't think about. What can we do? So we really have to sort of adjust things as we go. It's not just about sort of sitting back and letting it happen. Our staff at the end of the event, it's not just looking at statistics. So it's not just looking at what our dockets are showing, but we're really looking at volume as well. So it's not just with what our dockets or what event dockets we're getting, but we're looking at volumes, and we also put that in terms of how many skips did we have, and what is the volume of the waste. So it's not just done by weight, but we look at volume as well. And so we get a lot of feedback through photographs. So you're looking at not just quantitative data, but you're looking at qualitative data as well, which is really effective. So we look at feedback. We put our reports together, a sustainability report, and then we can look at what worked well, suggestions for next time, working within budgets. How can we change or reduce time here, or did we have less staff there, and can we move staff around? So there's a lot of things happening. It's a very for the next event. So it's not just planning for the actual event, but also looking ahead and just going as circular as we can. So that was really just simplifying. That was three things: was prevent, minimizing waste streams, 3D signage, and during the event itself, and then post-event waste and reporting. So thank you for having me.
Fantastic, Shaz. Thanks so much. I feel like we've just had this deep dive into the amazing way your brain works around events. Wow. It really is a science, isn't it? Like actually thinking about where the bins are placed and what education people need to get the right bin so we don't have contamination. And actually, having those photographs for accountability and actually taking everything into account at the end. Not to mention getting stakeholders on board really early in the piece. So it's, it goes right from early in the stage to late in the stage. That was, absolutely fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Angela Lynn. Angie is, among many hats she wears, one of them is volunteer and events manager at Bike Auckland. Angie is passionate about the impacts of urbanisation on the environment and the empowerment of communities to direct planning policy. At Bike Auckland, Angie has been delivering the popular Bike Valet programme to provide secure and sustainable travel options for Aucklanders to get to their event, from sports matches to annual celebrations like Big Gay Out. Angie, tell us more.
Thanks, Sue. I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see that? Oh, I can't see you. Yep, cool. Thanks, Sue, for the introduction. As she mentioned, I'm Angie. I'm the volunteer event manager at Bike Auckland, and what that means is on the day-to-day is connecting our volunteers with mahi that's meaningful to them, and then also for events that's predominantly the Bike Valet parking program, which I'm really excited to share with you all today. It's really great to see so many people across the motu join and trying to look at how we can transition more elements of our events into a low carbon framework. So just so everyone knows who is Bike Auckland, you might have guessed by now, we are the independent voice for cycling in Auckland. We are a registered charity with a small group of paid staff, and we want to see Auckland a better region for cycling for all ranges and abilities across the whole region. And even if you don't bike, the benefits of better better cycling infrastructure can improve urban transport around the city for more people. So obviously you've got fewer people on the roads if they choose to bike. You can get these beautiful shared paths like you see in the picture, where you can have groups of people cycling, you can have families, people pushing prams, people using mobility aids, and that can just help them get around the city more and more comfortably. And the best of all, the more people happily cycling, the more it can encourage others to give cycling a go. And as Isabel mentioned, just a quick plug for our current transport emissions picture in Auckland. So the dilemma we have now is that 40% of Auckland's emissions comes from transport, and within that 40%, as you'll see on the left, that 72% of those come from just light vehicle use, so your cars, things like that. And these are taken, these two graphs are taken from our fabulous document, the Transport Emissions Reductions Pathway, huge document, but it guides Auckland as to how we can reduce and halve our transport emissions. And yeah, along with that, halving the transport, halving our emissions, we're aiming to get that in 2030. A huge way we need to change is the way we get around. So we need to supercharge cycling around the city. So you'll see on the right that we need to increase cycling by about 1,700%. So in the year of that report, 2019, the way that people got around Auckland by bike and scooters was about 1%, and we need to get that to about 17%. Huge goal, but I'm really confident that we can do our best to get there. And as we know, the cost of doing nothing is really, really high. So that's where the bike valet comes in. So bike valet is a temporary bike parking solution which enables people to get to the event by bike for them to know that there's going to be safe and secure parking available. We have crew that will be there for the entire event looking after your bikes for you. And as you see in the picture, the visibility of bikes at the event can encourage more and more people to ride by bike, potentially the next time at different events, and just to get them to think about different ways of getting around. And of course, we love giving those that come by bike a special experience when they come drop their bikes off with us with a great smile. And also sometimes some incentives for them, like a bell or a light, and some more information about cycling in that local area as well. Bike valet is an extremely scalable operation. So in that picture, that was last year, we parked around 400 bikes in about 4 hours. So that's about 100 bikes an hour. And because it's very compact, we just bring these aluminium stands. We can fit in most events, provided that it's flat and we can make a square shape. And we also park a range of other modes too, from scooters, skateboards, and big bikes with their big bike trailers, especially good for those bringing their a bucket load of kids on their bikes. So I'll just get into how bike valet can be impactful for your event and getting your events to a low or zero carbon place. So if you think back to the last sport match or concert you went to, you'll be really familiar with the dilemma of trying to get home after a jam-packed match. And so if you're thinking about planning your event, rather than just focusing on what the event offering is, thinking about a holistic event experience from attendees from when they leave for your event to when they get home. And for these large-scale events, transport logistics is a huge sticking point for event organisers. And in the past, we've worked with New Zealand Rugby for the Women's World Cup, which was a few years ago, and then the FIFA Women's World Cup, which was last year, and we provided the bike valet really, really close to the stadium, which provided more options for the attendees to get to and from the event. And it's really crucial to lessen the load on other road users like driving, trains and buses. And you'll see in this picture, one of our the users of the bike valet, she let us know that she could get to her house in Mount Albert, which is about 3 kilometers away from the stadium. From her seat to her house after the event, it took her about 30 minutes. And there are very few ways that you could get home that quickly with limited on-street parking to mobility and residential parking. And then the trains and buses are going to be jam-packed as well. And then the bike valet provides a really friendly and welcoming a point for attendees as soon as they enter the event. So at the bottom right, you'll see there's me at Big Gay Out. So we were just right outside the event, and we could provide your attendees with information about the event generally, but also information about how to get to and from the event on whether it's buses or bikes, things like that. And having that attended valet experience is really special for those that come by bike. And of course, we're always happy to chat to those who are bike curious and want to see more information about cycling roads and perhaps where they might buy a secondhand bike, things like that. And we know that providing the bike valet, we can also help to lessen the impacts on traffic on the surrounding area of the event. So the bottom left photo is of the Kaumana Harvest Festival. So that's an annual festival that they have in the suburbs of Grayling and Ponsonby. And for those that are familiar with Auckland, these suburbs and their roads are quite narrow, lots of on-street parking. And for those of you that have visited the garden, you'll know that on-street parking is really a luxury to come by. So at the event, naturally, the event organisers were pretty worried about managing the influx of people on the street and potentially bothering their residential neighbours with potentially a lot more cars on the street than they normally expect. So this year was our first year providing bike valet parking at the festival, and we had a whopping 131 bikes parked in around 5 hours, and all along that little grass berm that you see highlighted to the right. So along that grass berm, at least for the cars parked on the road, that can fit about 6 cars. So across the event, we parked, my math isn't that good, but a whole lot more than 6 cars for the event. And the bike valet has a visual impact also of centralizing all those that come by bike, and again gives the attendees just like a glimpse of maybe I can get to the event a different way the next time. So yeah, that's really reiterated here in the example of Big Gay Out. So we've been at the Big Gay Out since 2013, where we just had one marquee, a couple of bike stands, and I'm not sure how many bikes were parked then, but definitely not as many as we had this year. So in 2024, we had 285 bikes parked over the course of 5 hours. So that's about 47 bikes per hour. And this is also addressing a common, misconception that event organisers have, is that they don't see many people come by bike, or more common is that they don't know how the attendees get to the event. So by bringing in the bike valet, by bringing in all those bikes into one place, it gives the event organisers the visibility that, hey, actually a lot of people do come by bike to the event, and why don't we provide more options for those people? And also by having it consistently at the event. So for example, Big Gay Out, we did it every year. And also recently we've been at the Catalina Bay Farmers Market. We've had, by providing the bike valet every week at the market for the last 6 weeks, we've had about 20 to 30% increase in people coming by bike. So just having that regularity and that visibility has really encouraged people to change the way they get around. And the bike valet works really well when the event organisers promote the service. So this is a picture of the Riders Festival where they advertise the bike valet in their 40,000 printed booklets this year. And this effort really helped us this year by letting their attendees know of the options of having secure bike parking at the event right outside the door. This gave us a 77% uptake in people coming to bike on the Riders Festival. And you'll see also that the car park was full during the weekend. So for those that can, coming by bike is a great alternative. And we've got lots of requests from attendees to provide the valet during the week for the Riders Festival as well, and have definitely seen a lot of bikes come through during the day. And by being close and visible to the event means that attendees can really easily rock up to the venue, as when you're on bike, you can naturally want to get as close as possible to the action. It also means if somebody didn't know the bike valet was being put on, they can now very easily keep their bike safe and secure and with us, so they can enjoy the event worry-free. And then lastly, tying in sponsorship alignment. So a big issue that we have when we're looking to provide the bike valet events is that people don't really have money. But of course, if you look at the sponsors, some of the sponsors on board. Some of them have sustainability goals. For example, the Burnett Foundation, who put on Bike Out, they have a really strong sustainability lens that they put onto the event, including auditing how their store holders transport their stuff and their staff to the event. New Zealand Rugby at the time had an ongoing story about 2 fans who were cycling around the world to get to the games, and Ockham, as some of you may know, is a property developer who are often touting the benefits of living in the inner city, including biking and public transport, which aligns with their own development goals as well. So you can see there's heaps of potential with lining up your sponsors in terms of their sustainability goals, their brand values, providing them with these levers, which can help them reduce the carbon footprint of your event. Okay, so last slide. So overall, we can provide a holistic experience for your attendees from door to door, so they can have a really good time before and after your event. The visibility of more bikes brings more people on bikes. We are a really friendly and welcoming first point of contact for people attending the event. Most importantly of all, safe and secure and ease for bike users so they can enjoy your event worry-free. And providing more options for people to get around can really lessen the carbon impact of your event.
Fantastic, Angie. Thanks so much. I am still quite stunned by that statistic about parking 100 bikes per hour over multiple hours. You told us about how we need to halve our emissions by 2030 and just how much of that is transport in Auckland. But what I was really struck by is, it's build it and they will come. You've kind of shown that if you provide a quality experience for people, and especially with like the big Gay Out example, you provide a consistency year on year, so people know that it's there, and the results are clear to see. I'm going to move us swiftly on to questions. We have a few questions that were sent in when you registered for today, which I will start with, and we'll take a look at what else is sent through. I'm going to direct this first question to Isabel. What are some initial thoughts around building capability of people that conduct the events? And a follow-up to that, is it the responsibility of just one person within that organisation or of all those involved? How do we plan to build capability of those that attend the events? What's been the most effective method so far? Isabel.
Thank you. Yeah, and a great question, something we're working on at Tātaki. I think capability building is pretty key to achieving the goals. You can't do it alone. I don't think it's up to one person. It needs to be a collaborative approach. And I guess we've got lots of streams going on at Tātaki. So from, I guess, training up our leadership and also our board, saying, hey, this is super relevant, you need to know why, to also those kind of on the ground, having sessions with them. Also working closely with our comms and marketing team, realizing they are super important. They tell our story. If they don't know what's going on, if they don't understand climate change and sustainability, how are we going to get our messaging across? How are we going to get transport on our website, for example? And also, I really think it's a cross industry capability sessions are needed. More of them are needed, especially in the events industry. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for more capability building. There's so many different areas, new things. For example, we're reporting on our climate-related disclosures, which essentially means we're going to have to look into the supply chain of all of those who we work with, and they need to know what they're doing. So actually, if we don't work with our stakeholders, they might lose out on opportunities. So we need to upskill everyone. So yeah, I really think collaborative. Anyone else want to add anything to that?
We've got a couple more questions to get through. Okay, so cool. I'm going to take your excellent answer and keep moving, if that's all right. Very keen to continue the conversation another time then. Question for Shaz. Our events are made up of 100+ exhibitors, many small Kiwi businesses. How can we encourage or support our exhibitors to consider the environment and be sustainable at our events? And just before you answer that, anyone who would like to ask a question, just use the little hand up button to let me know that you're waiting.
sorry, I'm unmuting. Yes, so you can have event guidelines which encourage your exhibitors to follow those guidelines. Some events do basically like I guess they do. You can't have a stall unless you actually are abiding by these guidelines. Yeah, and so it's just mainly a matter of getting them to understand what are your guidelines, what are your expectations, and having those up front before anyone sort of signs up, and making your expectations clear. And what we found though in experience is that it's not really getting them on board that's the hardest. It's actually sometimes that they are on board but they're using the wrong packaging, and they don't know the packaging can't be recycled or can't be compostable, and that's where sort of there's a grey area of them needing more support from the very beginning. So not going and buying something and then saying, oh, we can't, no, you can't actually use that, or you haven't followed our guidelines. So yeah, so we found that we reduce PLA. Yeah, we're trying to move away from PLA. Also, there's packaging that says biodegradable, and we try and move and steer people towards more compostable packaging, which is commercially composted, and that sort of we find that EnviroFit has certain standards of packaging that they prefer in terms of compostable packaging, and what works really well. And if you if you actually, we've been there and did a site visit at EnviroFit, and you really can see the compostable packaging actually breaking down into like really just soil, and they use that soil for kiwi farms, so they put it on top, so it has a certain pH, and it has a certain a way of helping that kiwi fruit grow. So I guess them understanding like how it actually impacts and what happens to the packaging at the end of the life cycle can be important as well. But yeah, offering support can be really useful. Thank you.
So it's an education piece above all. Fantastic. Question for Angie. Practical or DIY solutions for smaller events with a lower budget?
Yeah, so for example, for some community groups, we can offer a reduced cost for the Bike Valley service, and especially for non-profit groups. We can also look at lending out the bike stands for you to use, and then if you had volunteers on board, you guys can do your own version of Bike Valley. So the stand's really easy to set up. We either charge like a flat fee just for the cost of getting it to you, or we can even look at like a no-cost option, just depending on what your mahi involves. And that's worked really well in the past with lots of community events in Auckland.
Fantastic.
And just adding to that as well, I guess focusing on a couple of things like that you can do well, rather than going on to lots of different things. And so whether that's your transport, you're going to focus on that for this event. Yeah, I think that's a really good starting point as well. Just quickly, you can always start reporting on the environmental footprint, the carbon of your event. There are so many free tools out there. So yeah, try and find one and get on the journey.
Brilliant. The next question, we've got two very similar, I think quite similar questions here, which anyone could answer of our panel. Firstly, how can we ensure council and other organisers of events include or prioritise sustainable transport and event delivery, marketing and location. And we've also heard, how can we work with large organizations and introduce initiatives like Bike Valet to reduce their emissions associated with their private events?
I can start if you want. Mine is talking about transport. Like, not enough people know that transport is huge. Like, the emissions associated with transport to and from our events is big, because we can't see it. It's not as tangible. And also getting that data. So as I said, we're starting to measure how people are getting to and from like all of our events. So because we're going to be needing it for certain reporting. And so once we have that data, we can see trends. We can then say, hey, actually, like Bike Valet might work well at this and that. So then we can actually strategically work out how to put more sustainable transport initiatives in place. Also working with our stakeholders. We'd love free transport at all our events. That would be awesome. But we can't do that right now.
And I'll just add to that, something that I've thought about that would be really effective is for those funders to put in criteria for when they're providing sponsorship to events. So for example, it would be great, let's say the local board part funds your event and they require you to do XYZ things, and I know Tātaki does, I think you guys do like reporting for carbon emissions, things like that. So I think building that into the funding can also help us to leverage with the event organizer to say, hey, like, we know so-and-so is funding your event and we know that their values are these things. Would you consider incorporating these elements to reduce your carbon?
Or having, I agree with that, Angie, having sponsors that potentially, like, that's their focus, right? They have funding that's only for sustainability, climate, biodiversity initiatives. That is the goal, right? Every event should have some sponsorship money to go towards that. Yeah.
And just reading one of the comments in the one of the questions in the chat related to this comment, this question is, the event organizers, they're really, really big, and the ecosystem of who actually has the say on the event and where the money goes, that can be quite complex. So I think it's perhaps quite a simple answer, but understanding who the network is, and it might be the event organizer, it might be the promoter, it might be the funder, and try to build those relationships early to understand who can actually make the decision how to spend the money.
I'm going to ask just one more very quick question to finish and then wrap up. Apologies if I have missed your hand up. I don't think there are any hands up at the moment, but we will make sure we get back to you if we've missed you, so do get in touch. Final question then. Would love to hear about any useful tools that the panel have utilised to help create reports back on making an event more sustainable.
Yeah, I can talk from a carbon perspective. There are various different tools like Toitu, Ecos, there's international ones like Trace. It's something the New Zealand Event Association Sustainable Working Group are also looking into, making a New Zealand national-wide kind of tool, what fits the best. We're aware there's a lot floating around. So have a look around. And obviously in Waste Clean Event, do a lot of our waste reports, which are really useful to be able to work out what we're doing well and what we're not. There are quite a few questions, Sue, in the chat.
I've covered some of those already. I think we may not have time to get to the most recent ones. Apologies for that, but we will try and get back to people if our presenters today don't mind answering those offline. I just wondered if Shaz also had an answer on that last question about reporting, because it was something that you referred to in your presentation, Shaz.
I think she's just left.
I think she's just
I think she had to pick up her kids. What was the question? I might be able to answer. What was the question again? Sorry.
Useful tools to help create reports on making an event more sustainable.
Yeah, for us, we obviously, the event organisers will come to us and we'll do a report. So obviously, if you're not using us, then you'll want to use your waste management company and stipulate when you're doing the quote that you want to report right at the beginning, not at the end, because the stats are gone by then. So yeah, go to your waste management provider and say that you want the stats at the end, and then you want stats on waste, recycling, compostables, reusables, any options. Stats are good.
Nice.
And then
Make sure your
comparing-
requirements are clear at the beginning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all our fantastic presenters today. They've prepared really well. Let's give them a big round of applause. Well done, folks. That's brilliant. And thanks to everyone on the call today who's brought their minds to this creative challenge of sustainability and events. It has been a really fabulous and inspiring discussion. I'm going to close with a short karakia. Karakia whakamutunga, kia tau, kia tātau katoa, te aio, te aroha me te mauro tau. Tihe mauri ora.
Thanks, everyone. I'll follow up with those who have questions outstanding.
Have a fabulous rest of your day.
Kia ora, ka kite.
Kia kite.